Fat Finger Squad in the building. You know what time it is. It is the network, the YouTube channel that takes this complex networking stuff and dumbs it down to a more simpler language. Today's topic is summarizing routes with Eigrp. Now, I had to go back into the archives of my YouTube channel to remember how to summarize IP addresses. And thank God I got my channel, because I went back to the archives and I'm like, okay, that's how you do it. I forgot how to do this, man. I mean, I somewhat remember, and I think I still have a little difficult time. So unless somebody in the chat room knows an easier way to do this, because the book shows a way, and I'm just like, that don't sound right to me. Not that it doesn't sound right, it just wasn't explaining it to me. Y'all know how I do. I dumb it down, right? So I went on my channel, looked up an old video that I had where I talked about route summarization, and I saw that, and I was like, that's how you do it. Went on there, and then was able to figure out the summary address. So this lab has got 6 tasks, and yes, I'm gonna use even G again today. So let's go ahead and fire that bad boy up. If you want to follow along, this is the lab guide we use, 101 Labs, Cisco CCNA version 4. You get a copy of this from 101labs.net, or there's also a link in the description box below, and it'll give you, it'll take you to a link on Amazon, and it is an affiliate link. So let me go ahead and start that up, get to labeling and cabling while some people trickle into classroom. Let's go ahead and add a new lab and call this bad boy, what we said it was? Summarizing Eigrp routes. Let's see what it say here. We got the Fat Finger Squad in the building. We got Danny in the room. We got who else we got in here today? Y'all make sure y'all join that Discord server too. I had to look up another video too. Not another video. So a couple articles, man, so I can remember how to summarize routes, because that's the difficult thing for me is coming up with that address. IP summarization calculator yes, there is a summary, and I was about to download one. I'm glad you mentioned that. I was about to download one, but you still at least need to know how to, do it in your head, or at least do it on paper before actually use the calculator. So yes, there is a summarization calculator that you can use, but you're not allowed to use that calculator when you're taking the exams. So, but yeah, good point. It's funny you mentioned that. Before I was streaming, I'll even show you right now. Look, I was on SolarWinds, and you could download a free calculator. So I'm gonna fill this out and get that calculator and try to practice that. But I think you could do, subnet, supernet. So also, route summarization is also called supernetting. I didn't know that. I heard of the term supernetting, but I didn't really, fully grasp what it was. But I didn't know that's the same thing as route summarization or route aggregation, if you didn't know. So that's what supernetting is, as opposed to subnetting, right? This is page number 256, lab number 58. Again, it's summarizing routes with Eigrp. The lab, make sure I know I got it in here somewhere. What we got on the current events today? Matt Gaetz, that one, what was he, a congressman or something? I don't know, senator? I don't know what the hell he is. Matt Gaetz, U.S. representative. He's asking for pardoning for all of his alleged crimes. Alleged. But, if you asking for pardon, Matt Gaetz' trip to Bahamas is part of a federal probe into sex trafficking. Jesus. That dude just look evil, man. Look at this dude, man. Just look at this guy's face, man. He just looked guilty, man. Look at him, man. Let me stop. Let me not get political in here. But what was I doing? Summarizing routes with Eigrp. I'm just gonna put the little objective in here on the description right there, right? I'm not gonna enter the tasks there, because then that would be sort of copyright infringement on Mr. Paul Browning, the author of this book here. We only need 2 routers for this for this lab here. So go ahead and drag and drop 2 routers, and back to back, add node. Let's see if I remember how to do this correctly last time. I completely ignored Endrit when he said, hey man, you putting the layer 3 image with the switch, man, or layer 2 image with the switch. I can't remember what I did wrong, but I did something wrong. Let me make sure that I put router 1 with layer 3 image and the layer 3. See, that was icon. When you said image, I thought you were talking about this image right here, but you meant the actual image. So I went back and looked at that lab. So router 1, and the other guy is going to be obviously router 2. We just got to cable them back to back. That's all we got to do. Back to back. Save. Again, this is your first time tuning into these live streams. We do these Monday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me close this up right here. But yes, route summarization can be done easily with a calculator, but obviously you want to, it's just like a kid learning math. You're going to have to learn how to do some math before you actually use a calculator, you know what I mean? So we're going to go from 0, 0 to 0, 0, just like that right there. Now the lab calls for a serial interface. I don't have any serial interfaces on this router here. Let me go ahead and let's get some labeling in here. That's all the cabling we got to do here, right? So let's add a shape. Where can I add my shapes at? Where my shapes at? Where my shapes at? I thought you could just right click and get a shape, man. What's going on here? There you go. Do I want a circle or a square? Let's go with a circle again. And the background is gonna be, let's do it in not yellow. Let's do it in this dark, I guess orange or whatever. Y'all got any questions so far or anything like that? Again, this is Eigrp route summarization. Basically, if you have, let's say you got 900 routes in your routing table, and that, the router has to process all of those routes and keep it in this routing table. It's a lot, So what you could do is compress the routing table from 900 routes to maybe just one route. You could do that. As a matter of fact, a default route would be considered a summarized route. When you do, how you do 0.0.0.0 and then 0.0.0.0 and then make that, IP route and then quad zero, that would be considered your default route. But that's in a way a summarized route. You taking that, say, take all of this traffic that and you don't know where they need to go to, send it that way, right? But not a shape. I wanted some text here. This is gonna be Eigrp ASN 10. I'm sorry, 172. And once we get used to this, even G, and you guys are used to the simple tasks like writing down or configuring IP addresses and stuff like that, I'll try to do that off stream so that way we can get to learning what we need to learn. Right? This is ASN number 172. We need some IP addressing labeling here. 172.16.1.1/26. I'm gonna duplicate that and make that 1.2. And you can get 2 or more devices once. Didn't know you could do that. You're gonna have to show me how to do that. But this is the IP address for that guy. And then the other IP address for that guy is over here. Yeah, I ain't got to do all this labeling and stuff. It's just, y'all know I do this for lecture purposes. So, I'm trying to teach and do the lab at the same time, so that way it's easier to explain when y'all see the IP addressing, rather than having a console in and be like, hey, look, Ethernet 00, his IP address is that, right? So I'm doing this for other people that need to see this visually, right? Because we got some kinetic learners in here, right? So I think that's all labeling we need to do. Let me put the loopback interfaces so that way y'all can see those too. I'll go ahead and do that. That ain't really copyright infringement. So let's add a shape and put some text in there. No. Yeah, let's add some text in there and do this. The interface is gonna be loopback. A loopback. I'll write it out. Fuck it. Loop back. Copy that. And then loop back and loop back. Right? He's gonna be loop back 10, which is 10.10.1.1/24. And loop back. Who's the other guy? loopback 20 is going to be 10.20.2.1/24. And then the other guy is going to be loopback 30, 10.30.3.1/24. Who texted me at this time, man? You know I'm streaming, man. You know I'm streaming, man. Come on, man. Save. I think that should be it right there, right? Let's move this over right here. Again, you ain't got to do the labeling and cabling like I do too. So, I think that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and power these bad boys on. Now, the book calls for router 1 and router 3. So, I guess he going to be actually router 3 for some odd reason. Edit this node and make him router 3. I don't know why they did that, but maybe they threw us off, or maybe we need to submit some errata to this author here. Router 1, and he said router 3. Yep, he sure enough did. So, all right. So task 1 was to configure the host names, which y'all know how to do that, right? Let's go ahead and power these bad boys on. How you do that again? Can you right click and then power on? I forgot how you do that over here. More actions. Start all nodes. Console into that bad boy. Did I not start them? Yeah, they did. Okay, so console into him. Console into him. Let's sit these bad boys over. And did you learn how to do this on is this similar to what you do on your 9 to 5? Very similar. I use Cisco iOS damn near every day, but I'm not doing any like routing implementation or anything like that. You know, I just started, I ain't gonna say I just started this job, but I was contracting with them for a while, and I finally became full-time and stuff. Now, what I'm like, say for example, today, I'll give you an example of what I did today. Today, I had to do interface cleanup. So we have this monitoring tool, right? I don't want to say which one it is, but we have a couple monitoring tools, but they read the interfaces. Anytime we have an alert, it throws an alert at us, right? But it reads the interfaces differently. It says like port 5001 instead of gigabit 00. So I had to kind of like go and manually change those port 5001 to actually say gigabit 00 or whatever on the interface on the monitoring tool. Because for some reason they must have just left it at default, and we don't have a 5000 port 5001 on the switch or whatever. So I had to just pretty much change the interfaces on there. What else did I have to do on some of them? Some of them I had to point. We have some routers or some switches that need to point to our NTP server, right? Which is network time protocol. So basically, if you do like show clock on the router or on our device, right? It's not showing the right time, right? So I'll show you an example real quick whenever he decides to wake up. Hang on a second. Hold on for a second. Okay, so I'm clicking on that guy. Is he waking up yet finally? Enable global config mode. We said his host name is going to be R1. And basically, so if you do like show clock, right? As you can see right there, it does have the right time on here. No, he doesn't. See, it says right here it's at 2:15, right? So in order for this device to have the correct time, it has to point to what's called the NTP server, or network time protocol server. And a lot of our switches was missing the command to allow it to point to talk to the NTP server to get the correct time. So I got to go in there manually and go into iOS and change that. So that's what I was doing. So it is similar with what I do at work, but this specific task right here, summarizing routes with Eigrp, no, I didn't have to do that today. And I haven't had to lately. But I did have to do some Eigrp configuration on one of our MPLS routers. That's pretty much the only Eigrp thing that I had to do so far being there. So, but yeah, dope. That's dope. I'm glad you are dropping this content, bro. Man, I appreciate that, man. Appreciate you for tuning in, man. So let's continue with what. But I'm glad you asked that question, man, because I know some people want to know, like, you know, yeah, you teach this stuff, but what the hell do you do at work? You know, are you even, you know, qualified to even teach us this? Are you even a network engineer? Yes, I am. So But I'm also, studying for the CCNP exam. Well, I wouldn't say I'm studying for it right now because I'm teaching basic CCNA stuff right now. But I like to try to master the concepts, and I try to master it by teaching others. So that's the main reason why I came up with this channel too. So this guy is going to be host name router 3, right? We say router 3. I don't know if they did that to throw us off or what. I think that was it for task 1, right? Configure the routes, host names, router 1 and router 3, which we did. Since router 1 is 000 is the DCE end of, basically they want us to do clocking, and I don't have serial interfaces on here. I've got regular Ethernet interfaces on here, so I don't have to do the clocking. If you guys remember how to do that, go in the last couple videos that I think we did some, we've done a couple serial, we did some clocking for the past couple videos, so I'm not doing it on this one because I don't have serial interfaces on these guys. So I'm going to skip that part. Says here to configure the IP addresses. So basically we got to configure that IP address and that IP address, which I'm sure y'all know how to do. We've done it a million times in the beginning of these videos, right? And remember I said we're going to skip that part because this is just easy homework, right? 00, his IP address is 172.16.1.1, subnet mask of /26, which should be 255.255.255. We have 2 more there, so 128, 192, right? Correct me if I'm wrong there, right? But I think that's the IP address that we need there. No shut, show our work with show IP interface brief, and let me know if I'm going too fast or whatever. But that guy looks like he's correct, 16.1.1, and we don't have the subnet mask, so we got to actually type in show IP interface Ethernet 00 to actually see the subnet mask, and there it is, right there, /26. So yes, I was correct there. We got to do the same thing on this side, right? Configure that IP address, which is 1.2. Global config mode, interface, Ethernet 00, IP address of 172.16.1.2, subnet mask of 255.192. Now, the part that I'm kind of iffy about is, again, computing the summarized address. And I think that comes one of these tasks. I just can't remember, but we'll see. After you configure the IP addresses, go ahead and ping between the routers to verify connectivity based on the config. So basically, we gotta have this router 1 ping router 3 just to verify just basic connectivity, right? So we gotta ping from router 1 to router 2, or router 3 rather. See, maybe they did that to throw us off. I don't know. 1.2. Pray to the network gods. I'm pretty sure that simple configuration should at least work, right? And we got an 80%. Ping it again, and we got 100%. So what else we got to do here? We configured that IP address, so he's good to go. Configure task 2 was to configure the loopback interfaces on router 3 as illustrated in the topology. So these loopbacks right here, loopback 10, loopback 20, loopback 30, with their respective IP addresses. Let's go ahead and do that on router 3. Y'all know how to do that, right? Same thing we did with the physical interfaces. Interface loop 10. His IP address is 10. Oh, I got a fat finger mistake here. Fat finger squad in the building. See there? 10.1.1. There. 10.1.1, right? Am I correct in saying that? Yes, 1.1. Subnet mask of 255.0, right? And we do the same thing with interface loopback 20. His IP address is 10.20.2.1, subnet mask of /24, and the other one is loopback 30. His IP address is 30.3.1 /24, subnet mask. Y'all with me so far? Anybody got any questions or anything? I think that's pretty much it for task 2, right? We got 6 tasks today, and we should be done in a little bit. Task 3. So we did the loopbacks. Task 3. Enable Eigrp ASN 172 on both router 1 and router 3, which we've done. Killing me over here. Configure Eigrp network statements for router 1 and router 3. Ethernet interfaces, and the book says serial, but I've got Ethernet for the loopback interface and for the loopback interfaces on router 3. So we gotta do what we did last time with the network address and Eigrp, right? So y'all know how to do that, right? If not, then just follow along. Get you a copy of this book too. So y'all run me that like button, man. Global config mode. We need to do router Eigrp, right? 172. Sorry, 172. And then the network address, so we got to compute that, right? We know it's /26, which means the magic number should be 128. Yeah, 64 is the magic number, so it's every 64 subnets. It's 1.0. I'm sitting here trying to figure that out. It's 1.0 is the network address. So network 172.16.1.0. We got to do the same thing on this guy. Global config mode, router, Eigrp. Y'all with me so far? Right? Y'all know how to do this. I think most of y'all are pretty sharp at this. But if not, then just ask some questions. And if not, if you want to ask like sort of after class, we have a Discord server. Let me copy that bad boy. And y'all could DM me or DM some other people. Ask also on the Discord server, and they are smart as if not smarter than me, because they lab every day just like I do. And let's go ahead. We said network 172.16.1.0. We should theoretically have Eigrp come up, right? Remember the dual algorithm? DUAL. I forgot what this meant right here. I need to look this up. Let's go ahead and look that up, because I want to know. I want to know what number changes or NBR changes, what it actually stands for. Does anybody know? NBR change, or is that number change? Eigrp. Let's see what that is. Let's see what that is. So it's NBR change. They don't even say. Pulling my hair out while packet tracer is doing this. It just says here to configure, to troubleshoot it. They don't even say. They don't even say. Anybody know what an NBR change means? But anyways, this lets us know that it's Eigrp version 4. That's the ASN. He learned about this neighbor, right? He learned about this neighbor right here, which is 172.16.1.1. That's his router ID. We learned it from his Ethernet 00 interface, and we got a new adjacency, right? Y'all know about that already, right? So now we need to come up with a network statement to share these loopbacks, right? Because if we do from router 1, this is from router 1's perspective, he don't know about them loopbacks, right? Show IP, show IP route, show IP route. And he only know about the 172 network, right? 172, which is basically that network right there. And it's directly connected with a physical cable. Well, he don't know about these loopbacks right here. Well, we're going to have router 3 share those loopbacks using Eigrp. How do we do that? Well, we need to do the network address, right? Which is pretty much... shit. We could just do the 10 network, right? /24. Or do we got to do auto summarization? Before I even do that, let's see here. Enable Eigrp ASN 172 on both router 1 and router 3, which we did. Configure Eigrp network statements for router 1 and 3. Serial interfaces for the loopback interface on router 3, which we're going to do. Ensure that Eigrp does not perform automatic summarization at classful network boundaries. So basically, we don't want it to say... when we are advertising this network right here, the classful network boundary for the 10, right? Because this is a class A address. It's gonna be 10.0.0.0/8. That's the classful network. Well, if if the router auto summarizes that, then that could throw us off. So we don't want that. Let's verify if it's even on, right? I think you could just do what, show IP protocols. That's where it's supposed to be. It's supposed to say whether we are automatically summarizing or not. But let's do this. We could just put the 10 network and find out. So let's go back to router config mode, Eigrp 172. And if you don't know the answer and you got this book, guess what? the answer is the solution guide is right after the lab. So in this case, the 10 network, right? Do we want a wildcard mask? Probably not, because we care about the entire address. So we just do 10 like that. And let's see what he's sharing now. If we do show IP route, and we'll see. Okay, we've got 3 networks now. Remember how our routing table looked like before? We only knew about the 172 network. As soon as we put in this network statement right here, that shared these loopbacks right here. And that's how we got The 10, that's how we got routes to the 10.10 network, 1020.2 network, and the 1030.3 network. And these are all learned by Eigrp, right? The D, and the D, right? Right there, D. Pop quiz for y'all. Notice this is the legend that lets us know what routing protocol or what type of route it is. Why does the Eigrp start with the letter D there? Couldn't they, like you would think, right? L for local routes, right? C for connected routes, S for static routes. Why is the Eigrp represented by D? That's y'all pop quiz. So the next task, let's verify that it's not auto summarizing, which I don't think it is. Let's do this. Show IP. Well, he already know about those routes, right? So because those are connected, local, right? He already know about the 10 networks, right? Because he is configured. They're configured on him. What we wanted to know is, okay, see right there. I think that lets us know that we are auto summarizing because of that network address right there, right? So, and notice now this is fine and dandy with just 3 loopbacks, right? But let's say this this router had, I don't know, 500 loopbacks. That's 500 routes that this router would have to, keep in his routing table. And every time he needs something, send something, that's a lot of processing power on the CPU. Well, that's where route summarization comes in. We have to take these addresses or whatever addresses that fall in a specific network, and we can summarize it with one address, right? And that's what we're going to do here. And I think we're going to have to do a little bit of math here. Not really necessarily math, but, route summarization in our head. Unless you got the calculator like my man Endrit over there, a supernet calculator or a subnet calculator. Maybe dual. Well, dual in the message there is right there. So dual is the diffusing update algorithm, which is the algorithm that Eigrp uses to calculate Eigrp routes, right? This 5 lets us know it's a level 5 message, right? It's 0 through 7. 5 is like somewhere in the middle. And 0 meaning, like a huge emergency. And 7 is just like, whatever, just informational purposes or whatever. The NBR change is what I was trying to dissect what that meant. I don't know if that means number change or I don't know. I'm not going to make it up. So what we was doing here. That was, I think, pretty much task 3. But I wanted to verify. It says here, Eigrp, ensure Eigrp does not perform automatic summarization at classful network boundaries. And I think it did right there. But either way, we could do no auto summary. Right? Let's see what happens if we do that. Let's do that real quick. But I think it's already router Eigrp 172, and see what happens if we do that, right? No auto summary, and that's what they want us to make sure happens, right? Eigrp is not bouncing, so therefore it's already not summarizing. So that's how we know for sure. All right, we can do that with show run section Eigrp, and that lets us know that is the classful boundary there. So does not perform automatic summarization. So it's not summarizing automatically, I don't think, because we put that there too. So anyways, task 4. We only got 6 tasks and we're almost done here, man. So on router 1, this is task 4. On router 1, which is this guy right here, right? Verify the Eigrp routes you are receiving from router 3, which we did with the show IP route command, right? We verified it, right? We got our loopbacks that we learned about right here from the 10 network. And we got our physical 172 networks, which is this right here, right? That network right there. You should have 3 routes for the 10/xxx/24 loopback interfaces configured on router 3 and advertised by Eigrp, which is these guys right there. Oops, right there. Oh, you was answering the question. Maybe dual. I'm just now realizing what you're saying. No, Endrit. You would think that's what it meant. No, the D does not mean dual. This D right here, if y'all wanted to Google it, but it's not dual. You would think. That's a good guess, though. The D does not mean dual. The D for Eigrp and the legend does not mean dual. But that's a really good guess, man. That's a really good guess. You would think, that would be fitting enough. But no, it's not. That's not the reason why. That was, okay, so they wanted us to, the end of task 4 was to ping those IP addresses to verify connectivity. So they basically want us to ping these loopbacks right here, 10.10.11, 10.22.1, and 10.33.1, right? So let's go ahead and do that to verify connectivity. We do have routes to those, so let's go ahead and pray to the network gods and ping, and it got a reply, right? Let's do the same thing for the loopback 20. Ping 10.20.2.1. If y'all want to follow, next time y'all want to follow along, if you're tuning in for the first time or whatever, or you're just now tuning in, this is the lab guide we use, 101 Labs, Cisco CCNA version 4. You need to copy this from 101labs.net, or there's a link in the description box below. Y'all run me with that like button if y'all like what y'all see, because y'all know we keep it funky on this channel. Ping, we got a reply, and then ping on that last loopback right there, right? We're going to ping, basically we ping from router 1 to that loopback, to this second loopback, and then now we're going to ping loopback 30, right? In which theoretically they should work because we got routes to them, right? We got routes to the 10.0/24 network. And notice this one says /8 network right there. That's the crazy thing about it. And that's why I think it is saying that it's auto-summarizing. I don't know if anybody want to explain that differently though. But he is seeing that this is a /8 and he is seeing it as a /24. But anyways, let's see here. Ping that last loopback, right? 10.30.3.1, and we got a reply. So we didn't really have to pray to the network guys because we already know we had routes to those guys right there, right? That was task 4. Task 5. This is the part that I was just like about. Configure router 3 to send a summarized route for the 10/0 or the 10 network loopback interfaces. So basically, we have routes to each of these networks, right? And like I said, it's fine and dandy with just 3. But if you have a BGP router or an internet ISP router, and you've got like 500 routes, and you want to summarize that's it's a lot for the CPU on the router to process. So what we want to do is calculate a summarized route for the router. That way, he only got one network to get to all of these, one address or one network address to get to all of these individual networks, right? So I pulled up an Excel spreadsheet, so we got to do a little bit of super netting, not subnetting, as opposed to subnetting, to figure out the summarized address, right? And like I said, I had to go to in my archives to remember how to do this, right? So basically, what I took was the IP addresses of those loopbacks, right? And we got to convert those to binary. If y'all remember how to do that, if not, then I'll leave a link in the chat room on how to convert numbers to binary, right? Basically, you want to have this number right here. And anything that got a match, or any of those numbers that add up to it, you put a 1, and if not, then you just leave a 0 there, right? So, and I'll explain it in a little bit, right? So, what addresses we wanted? These guys right here. So we need to come up with that address. Not those. These guys right here. 10.10.1.1, 10.20.2.1, 10.30.3.1, right? So I took those, put those on this spreadsheet right here, right? 10.10.1.1. 10.22.1 and 10.31, right? And then I just wrote them there as well, right? Y'all see that so far? Y'all with me so far? And we just got to take those numbers and convert them to binary, right? So we know 10, to convert that number to binary, I know that the first 4 octets are zeros, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the last 4 part, right? To get to 10, we need an 8 and a 2, right? So we know that we need an 8, so we put a 1 there. We don't need a 4, so that's a 0. We need a 2, so that's a 1, and then we don't need a 1, so we put a 0 there, right? And we know that first octet are all the same, 10, 10, and 10, right? So we might as well put that number there, and here, right? So we know that is that number, 10 in binary. This is how you write the number 10 in binary, right? Again, I'll probably have to leave some kind of fundamentals over here. Check Discord. Let's see. Y'all give me a second here. I want to hold too long there. So yeah, that's a good one too. I think I'll check it out in a second. But yeah, go ahead and put that in. Yes. Oh, that's a good way to test it. But yeah, go ahead and put that in the chat, man. Route summarization calculator. That's what's up. Okay, so another way. Okay, so we got those 10s, right? That's converted into binary. Now we got to take these numbers and convert them into binary. Take those, the third octet, convert them into binary, and then take that last one, convert them into binary. 1 is easy. It's all 1s. I mean, it's all 0s and a 1, right? Because this is going to be a 0, a 0, 0, 0, 0, all the way till we get to the 1. And then we put a 1 there, right? So that we know that's how we convert 1 into binary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1, right? Same thing with this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1. And the same thing with that guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1. The next one is a 1. We know that is also 1, so that's all zeros and a 1. This guy is going to be a 2, right? So that means almost all zeros, and then a 1, and then a 0. So in that case, it's going to be 128, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, and then 2, and then 1, right? Right? We're just working with zeros and ones here. That's how you convert the binary. Same thing with 3, except the 3 is, we got the 2 and the 1 is going to be 1s right there, right? So 0, also 1. 128, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, and then 2 and a 1, since we need those to add up to 3, right? Now, this is sort of the tricky part. We know that 10 was that, so we can copy and paste that already. We just need to do 20 and 30. So how do we come up with 20 in binary, right? We come up with 20 with a 16 and a 4, right? So we know that those first 3 are zeros, right? 1, 2, 3. And then the 16 is a 1, and we said we don't need an 8, so that's a 0. A 4, we need 1, so we got a 1 there. And then a 0 and a 0, right? That is how you write 20 in binary. We need to do 30 in binary. So in this case, it is 30 in binary will be 16 plus 8 will be 24. Plus 4 will be 28. Plus 2 would be 30. So we need a 16, a 8, a 4, and a 2. And then the rest will be zeros, right? So 128 is 0, 64, 32, and then a 1. So 16, 8, 4, 2, 0. That's how you write 30 in binary. Y'all with me so far? And if not, there is a here's a summary route summarization calculator, care of Eigrp over there. There you go, right there. Use that to correct yourself. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'll use that to correct myself just to make sure, right? So, and then once you convert those numbers to binary, what you got to do is count how many of those numbers in binary these IP addresses have in common. Right, so this IP address, that IP address, let me put that in gray, I guess. That IP address, that IP address, and that IP address. Right? What are these numbers in common? Well, we know that just by looking at these, they all have 10 in common, right? So we might as well. This is common. That's common. What are we doing here? That's common, and that's common, right? And then after that, we have to find out how many zeros they have in common after that, right? Right here, the buck stops here, right? We have a 10, a 20, and a 30. So that second octet, the numbers are different. But we have to count the numbers in binary that they have in common. So in this case, just by looking at them, we have 1, 2, 3. There's the zeros right there, and then there's the zeros right there. There's the zeros right there. We've got 3 zeros there, 3 zeros there, and 3 zeros there. After that, they become different. The numbers are different, right? So we have these right here, we have those right there are common. These right here are common, right? The rest are not common. I'll even do it in another color so y'all can see, right? That's not common. That's not common. All these numbers are different. Actually, no, these are the same, but let me not even do that. Let me not even do that because those numbers are the same, but you want to read from this side, and then that's going to tell you what your subnet mask is going to be for the summarized address. So we just got to count them, right? With this, there's 8 numbers there we have in common, right? And then plus the 3 numbers we have in common, which means we have 11 numbers, 11 bits that are common. That's going to be our subnet mask /11. Flash, come on, man! I hate when it does this. What's going on here, man? I hate when it does that. /11 is our subnet mask, and then as far as the actual network address, you just pick the first number that's in the block. So in this case, let me use that calculator just to verify our work, right? So we take that address. I guess you could just copy and paste those numbers in there. I don't know. I never used that calculator, but I know there's another calculator in here that I saw. Y'all give me a second. Let me look for it first. Route summarization online and free. This is the one I was using right here. Yeah, this is the one I was using. SuperNet calculator IP, right? So what you could do is just take those IP addresses, and if you don't want to do it by hand like I did right here, you just take those IP addresses, copy and paste, and then you click aggregate, right? So let's erase these bad boys, right? That one right there, which is this one, and then this one right here. Enter, click aggregate, and he tells us that's the subnet right there. 10.0 network / 11, and that's how I came up with that 11, right? We just counted the common number of bits. That gives us the subnet mask. Now, that's the tricky part that I couldn't remember, was how to get that actual subnet, like that actual network address. Now, the subnet mask part was the easy part for me. I just couldn't remember how to do the subnet. I mean, the actual subnet, which is the 10.0 network / 11. So, let me give y'all a link to that. That's the one I like to use. But there's also the one that Endrit put in the chat room there if y'all want to use. There's a couple calculators that are out there though. So type 1010 through the entire range, and then you can get that. Okay, yeah, you can do that too. But there's another calculator. There's 2 calculators right there in case you guys want to learn how to do it. Or you can download this free one from SolarWinds. So, which I'll probably do after the stream here. So let's move on, because we came here to do some configuring, not no damn binary conversion and shit like that, man. Get this thing charging here. I need to turn this AC on here, man. Y'all know how black people house be, man. Don't got the AC on, or at least Haitians. Let's go ahead and go back into these routers here and put our summarized address, right? Back to the lab. It said here to configure router 3 to send a summarized route, which in our case was the 10.0 network / 11. So we need to come up with a summarized address for those that we learned, right? So let me, I hope, show IP routes. There he is right there. So we need to come up with a summarized address, and that summarized address was the 10.0 network / 11, right? Because we counted the common number of bits in binary. That gives us the subnet mask. So in this case, we have to go to global config mode, and then you don't go to a routing process. I think you just do IP summary address. No, that's not how you do it. I can't even remember how to do it. I got to think about that. No, you got to go to the interface. Okay, so you go to global config mode and put the summarized address on the interface you're learning them from, right? In this case, Ethernet 00. So interface, my bad. Sorry about those Windows sounds. I know what's his name was getting sick and tired of me doing that, but try my link, as I said. Yeah, you can try that link or that link as well that he put in the chat room there. It shows subnet mask, wildcard mask, and /. Let me copy and paste that way. So that's 2 calculators that y'all can use. That one or this one, you know. Choose your flavor. So we go to the interface. We're doing interface Ethernet 00. We're almost done here, man. We're on task number 5 out of 6. We're gonna wrap this up. IP summary address, yes. IP summary address, and then you could either pick RIP or Eigrp. I thought BGP you can do it that way too, because you come up with an no. You actually got to do aggregate address. I think for BGP. Anyways, so you do IP summary address, and then Eigrp. And then the AS number. What's the AS number in this case? 172, right? 172. And then you put the address, the summary address, which is what we just calculated. So 10.0.0.0 / 11. That should give us our summary address. And then now notice Eigrp bounced, right? Resync. So basically it went down, came back up, and it says here resync, peer graceful restart. We take a look at our routing table, show IP route, and we still got 3 routes there. That's not right. Oh, there it is right there. That's the summary address right there. I was like, wait a minute, what happened there? So we still have individual routes there, but we also have this this summary right here. But notice it says null 0. So I don't know if that's correct. Let's see if we can ping those guys. Because I thought these were supposed to disappear if you have a summary address to the 10 network there. Let's see. Let's verify what it says. Configure task 6. Say that 5 times in a row. Task 6, verify the EIGRP routes you are receiving from router 3 on router 1. You should now have one route for the 10 network, which is what it shows there. Loopback interfaces configured on router 3 and advertised by EIGRP. Ping these IP addresses to verify connectivity. So I'm going to do that, but I want to verify if that's what we're supposed to get. I thought we were supposed to just have just one route and the other one's gone. That's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. Let's see what they have in the summary. I mean, the solution guide. They got a different summary address. No, they got the same summary address. They just did it differently. They actually wrote down the subnet mask. I did it in CIDR notation. So you can do it in CIDR notation, or you can do it, you write out the subnet mask. So let me do this real quick. Let me go back to global config mode. Actually, let's go ahead and ping it and then call it a day. Not call it a day, but I'm going to go back and experiment a little bit. 10.10.1.1. Can we ping that bad boy? Yes, we got a reply there. Let's ping the other guy. Ping 10.20.2.20.2.1. We got a reply there, and I'm sure we're gonna get the reply on the other one, but I'm not too sure. I thought these other routes were supposed to go away, so I want to verify that real quick. Anybody know? I thought if you summarize routes, that the other routes should be like, you have ways to get there, but this is your summarized route to get it. That, notice it says right there, is a summary. So this route right here is a summary address, right? But it says here no 0. I think that means it. I thought it meant that means it doesn't go anywhere. I don't remember. But let's ping that last address and then experiment with that. So we did get a reply there, right? But let's see here what they had in the solution guide. They had a 5 after their summary address. What is that? Is that the AD they configured there? IP summary address. They put a 5. No, that's not what they did. They wrote it out in they actually wrote out the summary. I mean the subnet mask. So 255.224.0.0, and then they put a 5 there after that. 255.224.0.0, and then they put a 5 at the end. Then they put a no fair queue. Is that the administrative distance that they put there? I don't know. That last number, configure it from router 2's perspective, router 3's perspective. After summarization, you should see only one route. Yes, that's what I thought. Oh, so maybe we need to have it on. Let me see. That's what I did wrong. Configure router 3 to send a summarized route. That's what it is. So that's what it is. I'm glad you pointed that out. Smart man, smart man. See, so that summary address should have been on router 3, not router 1. So let's do that. Let's get rid of this. Control A. No. Oops. Interface. Ethernet 00. No summary address that. And then put that bad boy. That's what I did wrong. That is what I did wrong. I'm glad you pointed that out, and I'm glad I knew something was wrong here, man. I'm like, hold up. Okay, so I put a summary address on the wrong router there. Router 3 needs to be broadcasting the summarized route. He don't need to be like seeing a summarized route. That's how come he also, that defeated the purpose, actually, when I did that. I not only had individual routes to those individual networks, but I also added a summary route. So that didn't make no damn sense. What the hell was the NetworkBruh thinking? I'm glad you pointed that out, man. So let's do this. Show IP routes again. And now we're back to what we had here, right? The 3 individual routes without the summary address. So now let's go to router 3, his interface, and we're sending those routes out of Ethernet 00. Go to that interface, enable global config mode, interface Ethernet 00, and then put in that summary address. Paste. Oh, come on, man. I thought I had it. IP summary address, EIGRP 172, subnet mask of 10, and then /11. That should bounce EIGRP, make it come back up. Go to router 1, take a look at that route and table. That is what I was looking for. That looks a little bit better. See, now we got rid of, not that we got rid of him, but we kind of took all of these routes and summarized them into one route right there. And then there it is right there. 10, so, and then we got a 90, and that is our administrative distance, right? This is our metric, and we learned it via 172.16.1.2. Where did we learn it? From this interface right there. So I'm glad you pointed that out. I was not reading. See, this is what happens when you are not reading instructions clearly, man. Glad the Fat Finger Squad is in the building. So that's pretty much it, man. We wrapped up this lab. We should be able to, let's see if we can ping it now, right? So let's see if we can ping those individual loopbacks from router 1 now. So ping 10.10.1.1. We got a reply there. 10.20.2.1. We got a reply there. And ping 10.30.3.1. We got a reply there. That's what I need to remember, is when you are trying to use a summary route, you need to use the router who knows about those who is directly connected to those networks. He needs to be broadcasting the summary address. But I guess the router that is receiving those routes, he could take it and create a summary route as well, but he'll still have individual routes. So that's why, and that defeats the purpose of having a summary route. So not only what I did there, and I'm glad I did that too. This is why we need to lab every day. Because see, if I didn't think about doing this, I would just be like, okay, yeah, I know how to do summary routes, right? But what happens if you do it on the other side, right? And this is what I did here, and I'm glad I made this mistake, right? We had not only had our, again, where is it? There it is. Not only do we have our individual routes learned by Eigrp, right? Anybody figured out what that D stood for in Eigrp? So we had those individual routes, but we also had the summary route. And notice he says is a summary there, but what happens if we do look at the routing table from the other router, right? Does he say is a summary this time? Yes. And this is the summary route that he is advertising, plus the directly connected networks, those loopbacks, right? Anybody got any questions or anything like that? And I'm glad Endrit is in the building to help me out with that, because, you know, it even said right there, task 5, configure router 3 to send a summary route. Well, what did I do? I went on router 1 to receive a summary route. And not only did I have a summary route, but I had individual routes, which again defeats the purpose. So the D in Eigrp, since ain't nobody want to answer that, is because back in the day, they used to have another routing protocol, I believe, that started with an E. That's what it was. It was called EGP. So they had a routing protocol back in the day. It was called EGP, right? And it was the one that took up the E, right? So this was way before Eigrp came out, right? Well, when you still was able to use EGP, well, they've been used. Let's use D for Eigrp, which I guess stands for what? The dual algorithm, right? So where did the D? I believe that's what they got the D from, right? From the dual algorithm. So I guess what I meant to ask was, so I think you're right, Endrit. The D does stand for dual algorithm, but why did they use? I meant to ask you, why did they use D instead of E? So yes, I think you're right. The D stood for dual algorithm, but why did they not use? Why did it not use E? Well, that's why they had another routing protocol called, I want to say it was called exterior gating protocol, or I don't even remember. What is it? EGP protocol? Let's see. I don't even know. I'm going to have to Google that real quick. Yes. The exterior, it was like some antiquated routing protocol back in the day, before we all, probably some of y'all was even born, right? It was called the exterior gateway protocol, used to connect different autonomous systems in the network from the mid 80s to about the mid 90s. Well, guess what? Eigrp and OSPF surpassed it, and this thing was like super slow. I think it still used top counts and stuff like that. It got antiquated, and then they stopped using it. So that's why you don't even hear about exterior gateway routing protocol, and it took the E, and that's why they use that in the legend. But little fun fact for y'all. I think they are based on dual for that D and not the E, because OSPF uses E1 and E2. Just thinking. Well, OSPF uses E1 for E2, but for external routes. So I think the E1 and E2 stands for external, right? So let's see. Yep, see? OSPF external type 2. And the other one was E1 external. So that's why the E and the E's are there. But no, that's not the reason why. The real reason why is because I think what you said was correct, though. The D, it uses D. They use D for the dual algorithm. But what I guess my question was wrong. My question was, why didn't they just use E, since Eigrp starts with E, right? You got local routes with L. You got connected routes with C. You got static routes with S, and so on and so forth, right? Why didn't they just use E? Well, it's because the E was already taken by exterior gateway protocol. So if y'all like what y'all see, man, make sure y'all hit that subscribe button so you know when we're streaming like this. Typically, I stream Monday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We live from this book. We're about halfway through this book, man. Lab number 58. There's 100 and about 100. It says 101 labs, but there's about 120 labs in this book. And that's why I love this book. You know, this guy likes to challenge us and stuff like that, get us to think outside the box, and actually use the theory that we learned from those books and put it to test. And just like I did right there. What happens if you send or you receive the summary route instead of sending it, and so on and so forth, right? I did the show command on both sides, and now I know what it's going to look like, you know? So, and this is what it's about, labbing every day, doing this stuff, and that's how you kind of learn this stuff, man. Leave a comment down below for anything else you want to see. Appreciate that one. Thank you for tuning in. Y'all remember that like button. I'm going to keep asking y'all that until y'all hit that like button, man. What else I wanted to say? Yeah, so after this, there's also, like I said, there's also a CCNP book, and then we'll move on to the CCNP version of this book and start doing some CCNP stuff, CCNP level stuff. I'm going to mix this up with actually the actual Cisco Network Academy book and do those hands-on. I want to start using my actual hardware. Yes, I have hardware. If y'all can see, this is my actual computer lab right here, right? An actual rack in my bedroom and stuff that I'm going to be, and I want to start using in these. I want to use even G2. I want to continue using it, but y'all know how I am. I got this dusty hardware. Anyways, for now, comment, like, subscribe to the network.